a mutant made with state-of-the-art prosthetics, a man who became a monkey in just 4 hours, and an iconic costume fitted with a real human skull. Keep watching for some of science fiction villains' most dramatic makeup transformations. On the set of The Phantom Menace, chief makeup artist Paul Engelin concerned himself mostly with creating Darth Maul, portrayed in the movie by actor Ray Park. Initially, Engelin based early ideas on Doug Chiang's concept drawings. Artist Ian McCaig was also approached about sketching concept art. George Lucas originally suggested that Maul's design should be worthy of his worst nightmares, and McCaig immediately knew what to do. McCaig told StarWars.com, "It's that face that's peering in the window at you late at night, and it's barely alive. Like a cross between a ghost and a serial killer staring in at you, and it's raining." It wasn't exactly what Lucas was looking for, however, so McCaig scaled back and veered into a more mythological direction. He soon arrived upon what would become the iconic image of Maul. Engelin then sculpted a unique vision for the character, using a mix of a red water-based aqua color and a real tattoo black. He would roll the thick black mixture onto the back of Park's head before using a paintbrush to blend. When the coloring was set, it was time to cast the horns. The last elements were pretty simple. Contact lenses and silver stud earrings completed Maul's nightmarish look. The development of Predator's titular monster was complicated to say the least. Originally, Jean-Claude Van Damme was hired to play the alien creature, but a series of miscommunications led him to believe he would be showcasing his martial arts skills on screen. That wasn't to be the case. Makeup FX artist Steve Johnson first came aboard to create a costume that would be manageable during filming in Mexico. While Van Damme was disappointed when he was given a massive red suit to wear during filming, he became even angrier when he learned that its purpose was to make it easier for him to be edited out of his scenes. Nobody had told him that the Predator was invisible for most of the movie. As such, early shooting days using the original costumes were insufferable for all involved. 2 weeks later, the first design was scrapped, and filming shut down for a month so the Predator could be entirely reworked.
And they looked at it and said, "Nope, wait, stop."
Enter Stan Winston. Upon reading the script, the artist determined that the Predator needed some additional characterization. A painting hanging in producer Joel Silver's office proved to be the creative inspiration he needed, and he began sketching an alien creature with the now iconic dreadlock-like quills. Working off a suggestion from James Cameron, Winston added the identifiable mandibles and fleshed out his drawings further. Kevin Peter Hall was then hired to take on the role. In the end, it was all for the best, as his 7'4" frame presents a worthy adversary to Arnold Schwarzenegger's imposing physique. Rebecca Romijn played the mutant shapeshifter Mystique in 2000's X-Men and its 2 sequels. From the outset, it was clear the makeup process was no joke. As Romijn herself remembers, "I realized pretty early on that was the job. I was getting paid to be a part of that makeup application." In the sequels, Romijn noted the makeup time became a little less, and she wasn't required to wear contacts as she had in the first film. With special makeup designer Gordon Smith at the helm, Romijn underwent a grueling 7 to 8 hours of makeup every day. 2/3 of her body was wrapped in various self-sticking prosthetics, including an upper back piece, and the rest was airbrushed in. According to Smith, the prosthetics were a brand new technology that had never been tested before. It all paid off, though, as Mystique's on-screen adaptation remains pretty faithful to the source material, making for one of the most memorable mutants in the original X-Men movies. Few actors have played the same role over nearly half a century, but Ian McDiarmid is one of them. The actor first played Emperor Palpatine in 1983's Return of the Jedi, and he's since appeared in all 3 main trilogies in the saga. While McDiarmid has played the role at various points in his life, it's the decrepit, sinister-looking version of Palpatine that has best established itself in pop culture history. During production on Return of the Jedi, McDiarmid underwent 4 hours of makeup every day before filming. It would then take 2 hours to carefully take off his latex prosthetic, being careful not to take his skin off with it. As the franchise grew, however, the process got faster. For 2005's Revenge of the Sith, the creative team used a different method, employing a kind of balaclava that McDiarmid believed was not quite as detailed as the original prosthetic. The Rise of Skywalker saw a return to more detailed makeup for Palpatine, borrowing elements from Nick Dudman's original ideas in the first films. Amanda Knight and Neil Scanlon approached the look by manipulating different parts of McDiarmid's face using prosthetics, silicone pieces, and old stage stipple, hoping to get his look as close to the original version as possible. H.R. Giger was one of the most influential artists in the sci-fi world. A Swiss artist best known for his biomechanical style, Giger released a collection of his works in the 1977 book Necronomicon. Director Ridley Scott and screenwriter Dan O'Bannon were entranced by Giger's work and used his paintings to inspire the xenomorph in their landmark 1979 film Alien. Giger was hired to design the creature, hoping to make it something that was, in his words, a very beautiful thing. He brought a sense of majesty to his creation, fusing it with dark, unsettling craftsmanship. From the start, he surmised that a bodysuit would likely be the best option in constructing the creature, and worked out a plasticine cast of actor Balaji Badejo, who first caught their attention when the movie's casting agent spotted him in a London pub. Once the mold was complete, Giger attached assorted instruments and objects, such as Rolls-Royce tubes, snake vertebrae, condoms, and a real human skull to flesh out the creature's physical intricacies. It's a disturbing mix of materials, sure, but it works well to complement Giger's artistic style. A 2-meter tail was then attached, and a special swing had to be built on set so Badejo could rest during filming. The 1968 film Planet of the Apes both terrified audiences and changed the makeup effects game forever. Initially, Edward G. Robinson was set to take on the role of Dr. Zaius and even donned makeup for a proper screen test. However, health concerns over the lengthy application process forced him to back out, and Maurice Evans came aboard. Makeup artist Maurice Stein worked on Evans in the early days of production, and his commitment to capturing the beauty and expression of primates was invaluable to the process. He spent numerous days at the Los Angeles Zoo, taking photos that helped him along with designing the character's makeup. 3 to 4 months were allocated for preparing designs for the apes, and on any given day, the makeup took anywhere between 3 to 4 hours per actor. The look of the apes required many layers of paint, foam, and glue, as well as meticulous attention to detail by the makeup artists involved. Actor Hugh Keays-Byrne played Toe Cutter in the 1979 original Mad Max. 36 years later, he returned to the series for Mad Max Fury Road, playing a wholly different character, Immortan Joe. Considering the character's background as a warrior, makeup artist and hairstylist Leslie Vanderwalt wanted to tap into that rich emotional component for the design. She told the New York Times, "He'd become quite putrid, really. So we were looking at examples of all these terrible diseases for him, like syphilis." The decayed look was paired with a ventilator, given that it was the only way Immortan Joe could breathe fresh air in Mad Max's post-apocalyptic world. Costume designer Jenny Bevan then borrowed inspiration from medals worn by dictators to fully complete the image. According to the 2015 book The Art of Mad Max: Fury Road, the character design evolved quite a bit during production. The one constant, however, was Joe's respirator mask, and it makes sense too, as those gnarly skeletal tubes punch up the overall aesthetic to make him even more sinister.
You look amazing!
Alice Krige endured an hours-long application process to transform into the Borg Queen for 1996's Star Trek: First Contact. But what is most fascinating is that makeup supervisor Mike Westmore didn't determine the Queen's look until well into filming. The reason was that Westmore and his team sought out an alien look unlike anything Hollywood had ever seen. The job required research that included deep diving into cinema history, eliminating previous designs, and cultivating a fresh look from there. Based on early sketches, Westmore crafted a head cast for a total of 4 headgear pieces, but each one could be used for only a few days at a time. Once the primarily foam latex pieces were in position on Krieg's body, makeup artist Scott Wheeler was brought in to paint and match her skin tone. The daily process took roughly 5 hours, and after each shoot, it took 45 minutes to get Krieg out of the costume. As she told the New York Daily News, "The first time I walked on the set, the actors recoiled in horror, and every time I looked in a mirror, I scared myself." Decades later, the Borg Queen remains one of the most terrifying villains in movie history. In the 1999 sci-fi comedy Galaxy Quest, the design for Robin Sachs' character, General Sarris, involved the implementation of a kind of linkage device that made the makeup move along with the actor's face. As wild as that sounds, it was far more complicated than that. Effects supervisor Shane Mahan described the full costume by saying, "It was quite complicated in terms of a radio-controlled headpiece and articulated facepiece and breathing shells on the body. We had lionfish-like spines that would work via cable. It was pretty advanced at the time." The film was made during a time when computer graphics were being used to greater degrees, but the creative team took great care in deciding when and how to use practical effects or CGI. Notably with the Sarris design, a pretty successful hybrid of the two techniques was achieved.
Perhaps I'm not as stupid as I am ugly, Commander.
Everything about 2021's Dune makes for a breathtaking cinematic experience, and that includes the looks of the characters. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, the movie had Donald Mowat leading the makeup department with some of the coolest effects and designs of the last 20 years. Stellan Skarsgård's Baron Harkonnen had a particularly wild transformation. To create the character's huge bodysuit, Mowat reached out to two Swedish artists, Love Larsson and Eva von Bar. The balance of creating an obese yet imposing figure that wasn't what Villeneuve called a caricature proved to be a difficult challenge. Understandably, Skarsgård spent roughly 8 hours a day transforming into the Baron. He told the Daily Beast, "He's such a frightening presence where even if he doesn't say anything, I think you'll be afraid of him." Surprisingly, Idris Elba's transformation into Krall, a human-turned-mutant, took only 2 hours every day on the set of 2016's Star Trek Beyond. Director Justin Lin and the creative team put most of their attention into getting the design just right. Their vision began with the most extreme possible version of the character in his corrupted state, as well as a focus on his silhouette. From there, the design incorporated a number of aquatic traits. Makeup designer Joel Harlow told Inverse, "Deep-sea life is fascinating from a design perspective. Lots of fins. There were also lizard elements in Krall too, Gila monsters specifically. They later added elements of the classic Klingon design. Silicone prosthetics and layers of makeup were then used to define the final look, never going too far to hinder Elba from delivering the performance of a lifetime." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SlashFilm videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.